Welcome back to our live show here in Virginia this morning. It's Richmond's only pediatric hospice care program that it's a huge resource in our community. For 20 years, they have been helping families.
They sure have. They've got a special event coming up Saturday, March 17th. This morning, Dr. Bob Archuleta, founder and medical director of Noah's Children, joins us. It's wonderful to meet you.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
What a fantastic organization, Noah's Children, and for the work that you're doing, I'm not surprised to say that a lot of people haven't heard of what's going on. Introduce us to Noah's Children.
Well, I guess I'm too busy doing what I do to educate the entire community, but honestly, the entire community has been so generous, and that's why Noah's Children continues to exist 20 years later. We have a tremendous number of volunteers. We have grassroots effort that is really the philanthropic dollars from this community is what have built Noah's Children. The Bon Secours healthcare system for the last 10 years pays for all the administrative, all the program costs for Noah's Children so that we can do what we do. And what we do is we join families on their journey after they have been given that devastating news that causes obviously tremendous sadness and grief and all those lost expectations of that perfect child who now they're being told at 20 weeks gestation that their fetus has a life-threatening condition, or who they find out in infancy or childhood or teenage years that their child has such a severe illness that their child may die of their condition. And we join families on that journey. And I have that distinct privilege and honor of being able to witness as these families recover from that tremendous sadness and suddenly embrace and share in the uniqueness and the specialness of their child and able to really just celebrate that sanctity of life, whether it's an infant or a child or a teenager, because obviously children shouldn't die.
No. Doctor, this all started from what I read from a painting. Tell us about that.
Well, my daughter, who is now a medical student at George Washington University up in D.C., but she was a kindergartner, and her class had created this giant Noah's Ark collage. And I happened to purchase it at the school auction at St. Michael's School and paid more money than I should have.
It is your daughter.
Yeah, it is my daughter. Yeah. And I put this painting in my waiting room of my pediatric practice, and I had been wanting to do more with this, and I really have always advocated for children's good health and realized that there's many dimensions to children's good health. But I wanted to invite the children to my office so they could see where their creativity was being displayed. And I made prints of the original so that I could share with each of the 20 kindergarten artists. And as I was giving them their prints, I said, you know, I think this is just as beautiful as the original, and maybe we could make 100 more and sell them. And what would you like the money to go to that we might raise? And one little boy raised his hand and said, sick children.
Wow.
And then a little girl, not wanting to be outdone, said dying children. And I promised them that we would do that. And so we made more prints, we made note cards, we sold them, we'd raised $60,000, and I thought, you know, let's do more than just promote what's best for sick and dying children. And so we were licensed within 6 months of as Central Virginia's first and only pediatric hospice program, and really one of the first in the country. You know, 20 years later, many communities are developing palliative care and hospice programs because of how beneficial this type of approach is to the very seriously ill children.
I'm going to say it's a great return on your investment.
Well, it's nice to be around 20 years later and realizing the good that we've been able to provide to children and families in Central Virginia.
It really is amazing after 20 years, the number of families you've been able to help celebrate life and recover from this journey.
And it is, and that's the honor that I have of being able to witness that, and just how sacred life is, and how families, I mean, ordinary families doing extraordinary things when they're faced with this kind of challenge and rising to that occasion and doing it so well. It's just very inspiring.
Dr. Archuleta, you are inspiring. Thank you for what you have done. Extraordinary work. Thank you very much for doing that and carrying on 2 full-time jobs. We appreciate it.
Well, and thank you for having me here to be able to advocate for the needs of these children and Noah's children. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. We're going to share some information. You have a gala coming up. The Children's Hope Gala is Saturday, March 17th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Jefferson Hotel.
Yeah, we are going to post all the details on our show website by early this afternoon at WTVR.com/VTM. Doctor, thank you so much. Keep up the great work.